Well, today we are very lucky, and I feel very lucky to welcome to the show Neeti Khaitan, my good friend and entrepreneur and business person and pretty long-term friend. And entrepreneurs, business and finance. Hello and welcome, Neeti.
Hello, Henry. How are you? Thanks for having
I'm, I'm fantastic. So let's start out with something that may or may not be obvious. You have a American, but a slightly British pronunciation because I think the way you learned English. So you were not born in this country. You grew up in India.
That's
Uh,
right.
and I know because you told me, and I know because I met your family, and they are a very warm, supportive, loving, and also successful family. Having said that, you came over here all the way from India by yourself, where no one else had come over. And so could you talk a little bit about what it was like to grow up in India and then why you came to America and why you stayed in America and how's that?
Absolutely. Would love to. So, you've been to India with us and you know how amazing it is. I had a fabulous childhood in India, and as you know, I acquired polio when I was very young, and I grew up with that disability in India. But, my family was so loving that it was never a problem until my family started traveling and we used to go on vacations everywhere. And then I just found that when I would come to America, it would be very easy for me. And when time came, once I graduated high school and time came for choosing universities, I wanted to come to America, and that was a absolutely no-brainer for me. My uncles, my dad, all encouraged me to take that step, and I applied to 23 universities. I got admission in 22 universities at that point, and I decided to come here. And I always joke and I say that it was the country for me because I get front row parking everywhere, and the president of the country makes that special arrangement for me. I get to go in front of every line that there is. And just America has meant so much for me. It has meant freedom. It has meant spreading my wings. It has, when I want to go anywhere, I don't have to think about how will I get around in using my wheelchair, or how difficult would be, because I know that this country makes arrangements for that. I'm very grateful for people who planned it and who value that human. And, I have a small example of, I'd come to India, from India to America, and I'd gone to Disneyland in LA. And I remember I'd gone with a bunch of my friends, and we were standing in the line, and a security guard came and said, "Oh, you don't have to stand in this line, come with me." And he took me to the exit of that ride. And I said, why is this?" He's like, "You don't have to wait in line, you can just come from the exit and we can get you in your wheelchair." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So I stood there, and he's like, "Where are all your friends?" And I said, "They're in the line." He's like, "No, they can all go with you." And I was so amazed, and I said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "Why would you not have the same experience as any other human being enjoying with your friends on the same ride, and why would you want to go alone?" So I mean, that's just it stuck with me from such a long time, that this country allows you to have that experience like any other. So that's, America to me is limitless.
Well, you are always, I find, to be, while confident and successful business person, also humble. And I know one of your philosophies that I've heard you quote, and it's a common thought and common saying, but it's also different to actually implement it on a daily basis to make lemonade out of lemons. And you
Yes.
talked about how, you have had some things that are different about you because you had the polio that limited some things about you, but you don't really feel like that's limited you in your life or your experience or your well-being or things like that. You don't
Not
act like a victim, put it that way.
Well, I hope not. And I don't feel like one. I just feel that, just growing up, and culturally, and as well as just a human being, when I say, making lemonade out of lemon, it's just such a cliched line, but in the true sense, all the things that I could count as things that could hold me back. For example, I remember when I was in university and I had to do a senior thesis, I had to present to a board of directors. And the previous night, I was like, how am I going to do this? I knew my subject, but I didn't know how would I walk into a room. And at that time, it was all men. And being a woman, being from a different country, so minority, I was all of 4'11. I had an accent, I was dark skinned. How do I walk into a room full of men and how do I present myself? So, with the disability and everything. But then I realized, and one of my professors helped me realize that these exact same things that I've mentioned are my lemons, and it's up to me to make lemonade out of it. It's up to me to walk into that room, smile and say, hi, this is Neeti, and present. And I've lived that all my life, and I found that through my life, I've never gone to a place or met a person that's not become my friend. And that's because it's your own mindset. If you have those limitations in your own mindset, then you're allowing the other person to see that, or to feel that as well. So I forget at times that I'm the one who needs help most of the time. If I see someone struggling, I feel like I should get up quickly and go and help them, not realizing that I can't sometimes. But it's about the mindset, and it's about all the things that you think are holding you back. How do you switch that? How do you make that switch in your mind to make it work for you instead of working against you?
That's neat to hear. And I know that you also have done some motivational speaking, and generally you feel like, everybody would like to have some sort of contribution in this world. And one of yours, you feel like, is if you can be a catalyst for other people to be positive or to strive for things that they might not have strived for, achieve things they might not have strived, have relationships they might not have had, whatever the good things they are. And I guess you embody that. And you also, not that you run around and say that to people,
Yeah.
on a regular basis, but there have been some things when you've given your motivational speech. I mean, it wasn't like it was easy. Say, oh, well, I had polio when I was a kid, but I don't know if you want to touch briefly on, a year in the hospital and some various things that were genuinely difficult periods in your life.
I would love to. And again, as I think about it, you know, I think my parents and especially my mom made it so easy for me that she never let me believe that I had a disability. She never let me pull back because I had a difficult time physically. So she made me so mentally strong that the physical disability didn't matter. It's mind over body. And, yes, I did have polio when I was 2 years old. It was because of a polio vaccination that was expired. So I was paralyzed head to toe. I was on a ventilator, and very, very, very slim chances of me surviving. But my parents said, we're going to keep her. And that's where the universe comes, where you want something, the universe, works for you to get it. And something or the other worked, and over time, and here I am today in America after how many 30 years. I'm driving, I'm living, I'm hopefully flourishing. I travel the world. And so yes, life has been, and I'm not going to belittle it. Every single moment, getting out of bed, standing up to brush your teeth, those little things that people take for granted is a task. But something that again, my mom has always taught me is figure it out. So the fact that you have to figure it out makes it easier. And so that's how my mind works. It's always plan B, C, and D, in case plan A doesn't work out. And you give plan A your 100%, but if it doesn't, then you automatically. So if I go, and you and I have been to many places, and we always have to figure it out, how to get into an event, or how to get into an auditorium, or wherever. And it's we work it out. Talking about the catalyst, I just really feel that there are a lot of people, we spend hours and days and finding out what is our purpose. what is the purpose of living this everyday life? What is the purpose? What are we trying to achieve? A lot of people think it's money, it's fame, it's success, and success is defined by different things. For me, and I'm not trying to make it simpler than it is, but I really truly feel, and I really really believe in it, that if I'm able to even make a difference for one human being, and I don't feel to have these hefty goals of changing the society or the world, it's one human being one day at a time. If somebody's having a bad day and hearing my story, or me helping them in such, just changing that one moment of their life that they were down, I think I've achieved what I came here to do. So being that catalyst, and I understand the importance of help because I've always needed that. So I understand how gratifying it is to receive help. And so if I'm able to give somebody that help, it's a privilege.
Let's go back to you graduated from college. You decided you want to stay in this country. Maybe you always knew that, but that was actually a decision point. And you went to work for a company, and then gradually you got involved with your family, and then talk about that and how that started in your first job and what you learned, and that resulted in a long-term part of your career.
Absolutely. So when I graduated, I went to Pepperdine University in Malibu, and I had a good life there. And suddenly I had to decide whether I wanted to stay in the US or go back to India. And just like I said, I'm in love with America, also because of the way it thinks, but also practically it's practical for me. There are ramps, and there are it's just easier for me to live here and have a life. So I started work. So I found a job in a company which was a call center company out in Riverside, California, and I got a job which was just a very low to mid level managerial position. They were ready to sponsor me at that time, so I just took it. I didn't think anything about it. I started working in this call center company and very quickly learned how practically in everyday life work happened. It was not just from top down, it was how operationally work happened. I learned that, and very quickly learned how the call center world worked. Went to my uncles and requested them to look into it, and very fortunate to have their support. They invested, and they bought a company out here in Texas, which is when I came from California to Texas. And so we bought a call center company. I was the CEO of that company, and we grew it fairly quickly. From there, we bought another company, and then my cousin brother was the chair of that company, and I worked with him. And under his leadership, I mean, we grew the company to 66,000 people, 29 countries in a short span of 8 years. And we were very fortunate to get a really good exit. And then from there, they went on to buy other companies. And then I started a company called Accelerate Consulting Inc. And what Accelerate does is I'm using the lemonade I made. So all the things that were, again, like I said, could hold me back. And that's, again, everything ties in, the lemonade, America, my love for it. The country of America gives you that opportunity. If you have these, if you are a minority, if you are a woman, if you have a disability, you're able to get special certification and licenses. And so I was able to get all these licenses, and now I use these licenses to do subcontracting work with partnering with other companies. And I do contingent work for staffing and payrolling. And I'm absolutely loving using all the things that could have been held against me as things that are now a plus to have.
So as you say, you are in Dallas, Texas. We met here. You've always been involved in the community, and you're always going to meet important people, whether it's the governor or Michael Dell or different situations, just the business things. Those are just two recent names that I remember. We met in the Entrepreneurs Organization in Dallas, and then we did a fun thing together, something called the Texas Ballet Theater, which was a charity to kind of charity work both ways. I felt like we were the ones getting more of the benefit, but anyhow, you donate some money and they teach you about the ballet and they hope to make continued fans and patrons of the ballet, which we have been. But you're also involved, and I'm gonna look at the list and I can't even keep track of them all, but the Salvation Army, Girls Inc., Rainbow Day, and maybe not all these at the moment, but
Yeah.
Rainbow Days. We were in something called the Dallas Roundtable, which was an influential part of our lives for, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, a morning breakfast group. Talk about, and then there's a number of India groups that are related to people that have come from India recently, or maybe not first, second generation, but um, you have your hands in a lot of pots.
I, well, I firmly believe that if we are part of society, we need to give back. And people sometimes think philanthropy or giving back means a lot of money. But I've come to find out that your time, your effort, your thoughts are also important. And I'm blessed that a lot of organizations do ask me to join them. But education, women's development, food, shelter, these are some important topics for me that's very close to my heart. Children education is very important. So from time to time, whenever I got the opportunity to be part of organizations that I could add value, I tried to. So right now, like, I'm on the executive board of the US India Chamber of Commerce, and that fulfills a lot of things that are close to me. I'm able to be a catalyst. I'm able to network and connect people. I'm able to give back to the community from the country that I came and the community I live in right now. And so one country was my mother, and one country is where I work, and it's my karma. So I want to give back to both, and the US India Chamber allows me to do that. I recently got invited to be on the board of Salvation Army. And again, just food, shelter, help, it just spoke to me so much. And it's very endearing to me what I can do. And if I can do something, then I would love to, because again, I go back to, I understand the importance of help. And every time, help doesn't have to be a poor thing. It means adding value, growth, and taking it to the next level.
Well, and I know that at various times your family members have been here working. I mean, obviously they visited. Fortunately, recently, I'm sorry about the passing of your mom, and your uncles were very supportive, and of course your father too. And they came over here. Um, and when I went to India, we were lucky enough to take a tour on ourselves, places you had been, and your uncle's company, the SR Group, arranged all the travel. So it was sure was a neat experience for us. Um, but they're all still staying in India, or they're not that they don't travel the world. But you're still now. I mean, there's been times when there were more members of your extended family here, but as I recall from our last conversation, you're it again.
I
But you're planning on, but you're planning on staying.
I
Uh,
do.
yeah.
I don't plan on doing something that they'll kick me out from here, but this is home. I've lived here longer than I've lived in India now. I'm not going to age myself, but I've been longer in the US now, and this is home. I don't plan to go anywhere from here for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Who can
stuck with
say?
me, Henry.
When you have time, always, it seems, or you make time, dinners with friends at local Thai places, and you have lots of friends. I know that. And recently, we're calling and checking on you as you went through the loss of your mother, and you do have a full life. I can see why you wouldn't want to leave because you would give up so many things in the community that you've developed when it was just you that showed up. And those long-term relationships are terrific. Like when we see each other on a regular basis, but if we miss a month or two and then we get together again, it seems like it was the day before. So, and Olga, and of course, feels the same way, my wife. And I know you'll have a lot of interesting things in the future. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to wrap up or?
No, I think, thank you for this. And I think I'll leave the interview with a thought. If there's anything, one thing that you could get out of our conversation, I mean, not you, even the viewers, is just remember that you're living your best right now. And we often worry about the future, and we remember our past. But the present is our future, that we imagined in the past. I don't know how to explain that better, but you're living your best right now, so enjoy it, because this too shall pass, and good and bad, whatever you're going through, it will pass. So just keep smiling, because it's a curve that straightens all curves, and positivity attracts positivity. So just be happy and be well.
Well, I don't know if you coined the phrase, but the first time I heard it was from you that I can recall, and you said these are your good old days of the future.
Yes.
So enjoy
Yes.
them now, and
That's
instead of
exactly, yeah, that's exactly. I remember you and I had this conversation that, because I think in the recent times, with the loss of my mom and few other different changes in my life, I feel that I found thinking about the past a lot, but then I realized that in the future I'll be thinking about this time that we are in right now. So let me just enjoy this right now. So yep.
oh, fantastic. Well, Entrepreneurs Business and Finance podcast was very lucky to have you on the show today.
Pleasure.
And thank you, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Henry.